Any minute now. Yes, Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. The weather's changed. So's the climate. So's the temperature. And I think people's hearts are starting to change as well and come to the cold conclusion of what is in store. So I'm talking this morning about the crisis in the United Kingdom. Does look like digital IDs are on the way. We do have a migrant crisis, and it does look like we're heading towards a global conflict on an industrial scale. But not to worry, ladies and gentlemen, because we've only got 3 more paydays before Christmas. Anyway, so I guess we're on now, guys. Can you do me a real big favor before we start? Like, comment, subscribe, all those things that help this channel. Share my stuff as well, ladies and gentlemen. That really helps me out when you share my stuff. Buttons up there on TikTok. Little button, just press it up there on X. And if you're watching on YouTube, they are down below. So let me just first start with something... Well, let me talk about digital ID, actually. I'll talk about, I'll go through everything and then I'll come back. So it does look like Keir Starmer's going to unveil his new digital ID scheme at Labour's conference. Now, how is me getting a digital ID going to stop the migrant crisis? So, like, when these migrants come over on the boats or whatever, like, how is that digital ID going to stop them? I don't know. I'd like to, I'd like to get those. I'd like to get those answers. People are saying it's dystopian. Some people are. A lot of people are not bothered. I don't think people understand where this digital ID could lead. Now, obviously, I don't have a crystal ball, but what I'm saying is it could lead to a very dark place whereby all your information, all your personal details, all your banking, everything is run by artificial intelligence and you are controlled by money, because digital ID is the first step to universal basic income. Once you've got digital ID, it's very easy to give and take away money. And to me, it just seems, if you look at everything that's been happening in the United Kingdom over the last, since Labour took office, it does to me seem it's either by design or it's by happenstance, whereby the government have taken steps to destroy small businesses. So small businesses now have to go bust, forcing people into unemployment. Digital ID will be for everybody, and the incentive will be, the incentive will be universal basic income. Why wouldn't you do that? Like, why wouldn't you do that? And I get it, for 95, well, do you know what? I would say for 80% of the population, they don't know what's happening. And the argument is, if you're not doing anything wrong, why are you bothered? And I get that. I really do, guys. I get that, and part of me, I do wrestle with that myself. Right, Sean, you're not breaking any laws. You're not going, like, I don't go to these protests or anything. It's not really going to affect me. All my money, I don't really deal with cash anyway. Like, money comes into my bank account. I have no say over that. So it's not going to affect me, but there's just something fundamentally wrong. And like anything, guys, if you have to have something forced on you, it's probably not going to be a good idea. If something happens naturally, then it's a good idea because people will just go to it. Also, I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to talk more about that in a little bit. Also, the migrant crisis now, guys, it's unbelievable. I watched a video on X. And what was it? So I watched the video on X, and it was somewhat, I should have probably got it up. So basically, I don't know if you've seen it. There's a video on X, and there's a young girl. It's caught on a Ring doorbell. I think she's in Liverpool, and this girl comes home, and a migrant follows her and goes into her house. So now let's look at what we were talking about last night. A threat to Christians and Jews by Islamic State, and what Islamic State was saying is follow your prey into their homes. We're actually seeing that now. We're actually seeing people going into people's homes. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, don't worry, because the digital ID will stop all of that. If that guy doesn't have a digital ID, he won't be able to enter your home. Why? Don't know, but apparently he won't. And it absolutely astounds me. And I didn't realize this until like a couple of months, maybe a month, maybe even this month, last month actually. I didn't realize until last month that it wasn't a criminal offense to walk into someone's house. So like anyone can walk. I mean, can I walk into Buckingham Palace? Am I okay to just go and walk into Buckingham Palace and sit down with big Charlie? Big Charlie? Am I allowed to sit down and have a cup of tea with Big Charlie? Like, because that's not a criminal offense, is it? So we know now that it's not a criminal offense to just walk into someone's house. And again, oh, hang on, Article 5 is just trending on. Hang on, guys, something's just trending. Give me a second. Hang on, guys, this has just come up from 1 minute ago. Give me a second.
The Russian jets entered Estonia's airspace today for 12 minutes. Do you see that as a threat to NATO?
Well, I'm going to have to look at it. They're going to debrief with me in a short while, so I'll let you know about it tonight or tomorrow.
What's your take?
Well, I don't love it. I don't love it when that happens. It could be big trouble. But I'll let you know later. They're going to brief me in about an hour.
Okay, sorry guys. Article 5 is trending on X, and obviously you guys know, because you guys know that follow me. They're on this channel. You guys all know that Article 5 it doesn't really give anything. I've done that to death over the last few days, guys. If anything jumps up about Article 5, because it is trending at the moment, I'm just trying to find out why or what. Right, I'm going to leave that for now. Anyway, so we're talking about you know what, guys? Not even migrants. I didn't know. I thought it was an offense to enter someone's house. Honestly, I thought that if somebody enters somebody's house, I thought that was burglary. Apparently, it's not. It's just civil trespass. Then you have to take them to a civil court, and you have to pay for the solicitors, and that is the reality. Anybody can walk into your house and it's not a criminal offense, it's a civil offense. I genuinely didn't know that. I understood that, like, if you were on I thought that it was like if you was on somebody's garden, do you know what? If it was like a commercial property and you was on that commercial property, I thought that was trespass. But I thought there was different laws with private homes, but apparently there's not. So I will be coming back through that as well, guys. And I'm talking about the alleged video that's been circulating online where there's a migrant and he follows a girl home and he enters her house. Remember, these people know now that there's no laws being broken. So can you imagine that right now, ladies and gentlemen? Can you imagine that right now? Let's just put these things together. I'm just connecting these dots, all right? We have got a legal system in the United Kingdom that is quite openly now saying that to enter someone's house is not a criminal offense. It's a civil offense, right? That is ticking the box. We know that. We know that is real. There's no question in that. Yesterday or the day before, well, in fact, yesterday I was talking about it. I don't know when the actual speech was given, but Islamic State are now saying to target Christians and Jews and go into their homes. What? That is real. And you know the example that I used to give you guys where I used to say, can you imagine if like you're on a street, it's a cul-de-sac. And for those of you who are American, a cul-de-sac is like a one-way, it's like a street and you can only get in it one way. There's no through road. So imagine you live on a cul-de-sac right now, and number one, trucks turn up on this cul-de-sac, and a load of men get out and they've got their faces covered, they've got big, heavy, pointy things in their hands, and they go into number one, and there's a load of screaming, a load of glasses smashing, and then they come out and they go into number two, and you're thinking, what's going on down there? So you phone the police, and the police say, and listen, guys, when I gave this example, I pray that this doesn't happen. But when I gave this example, I gave this as an example that was so far-fetched. So they're at number 2 now, and you're at number 20, whatever. You phone the police. You phone 999. Hello? Yeah, I'd like to report a crime. What is it? Well, and you explain what's happening, and the police operator's like, well, can you actually see any crime being committed? And you're like, well, no, because they're in, like, at the bottom there. And they're like, right, well, if you can't, you're going to have to phone 101 because you can't see a crime being committed, and you're going to have to report it. Right, okay, 101. Ring, 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 ring. Right, you do manage to get through. Yep. What's the problem? Oh, I can see this. Right. How do you know there's a crime being committed? Well, I don't. I'm seeing this truck. It started at number 1. It's gone into number 1. There's been a load of smashing, a load of screaming. People have come out, gone into number 2. Oh, yes, but can you actually see any crime being committed? No. Well, what I suggest you do is upload some pictures online and an officer will respond. Oh, okay. That is probably the scenario. Or it may be the case that ring, 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 ring. Yep, hello. Yep, please. Yeah, got you. Yeah, this is happening at number 1. They're at number 5 now. They're at number 5. I'm number 20. Yep. Oh, okay. Well, that is, yeah, okay. And then you ask the police, am I allowed to defend myself? And the police are like, no, you can't defend yourself because that would be a crime. You've just got to sit there and wait for the worst to happen. Oh, okay. God forbid if there were some people there with like capacity and they go out and they have melee with these guys on the streets, and then they're the ones who are in jail then. They're the ones who are up in court. And then we've obviously got the ridiculously fast escalating prospect of a global conflict on an industrial scale in Europe. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to jump on the comments. I'm going to get TikTok comments first. I'm going to get all of them, as I always do on the mornings. And then I will jump what's happening on YouTube. Let me make sure what's happening on YouTube. Right, let me get these comments. And good morning, everyone. Did everybody survive in the rain last night? Did everybody survive the rain last night? The rain was coming from a different direction, so it was hitting our house in a peculiar angle, and some water did get into the roof. Hop along, Bob's joined. Janet Ryan's joined. Maggie, Shelley, Mammy, Mr. EJS has joined. EJS and DJT has joined. I wonder if that's the real DJT. There's a lot of random letters here today, guys. Mike Bravo Golf Alpha has joined. Hello. Scott Orley, Jez Wonders, Mandy Moo. Hello, Mandy Moo. Mandy Moo Gen X, actually. Mandy Moo Gen X. Daniel Payne's got a serious question. Okay, Daniel Payne, what is the serious question? Sadie Better Baddies joined. MHBP Pages. Are you going to accept digital ID in your life? Right, okay. Okay, well, I mean, I don't think I'm ever going to accept it, but if I can't live and if I can't operate, without digital ID, it's going to make it very difficult. I guess this puts it onto the wider spectrum of things. When the digital ID is rolled out and they're saying like nobody's got any money, and they say, right, if you download the digital ID, we're going to give you £1,600 a month. That's going to make it very attractive to a lot of people. That is going to make it that will be like almost 100% attractive to like 100% of people. Excuse me. I think what people, I may have to, Daniel, because all my work is like, I don't really like get paid cash or anything, and I don't know how I would be able to. I'm certainly not going to accept it, and if there's a legal way I can resist it, then of course I would resist that. But I think I think they've played a blinder and they're pushing this on people now, and people just don't have a way out really. But I think the bigger question here, Daniel, so let me pin that again, is, how do you structure your life so you don't have to have digital ID? I think that's the bigger question, really. You know, are people going to start selling up and going and living in the woods, totally off grid, and saying, "Do you know what? We're good, thank you very much." But then it comes down to medical care, I guess. You know, you probably won't be able to access a hospital or or a paramedic. You know, so that's going to be a big, a big question mark. I do think we're going to start to see split communities. I was watching I was reading a book. In fact, was it a book? I can't remember whether I was reading an audio book. I wasn't reading an audio book, listening to an audio book or listening to a YouTube channel. I can't remember. But in this channel, they were saying there's going to be three, as society evolves, there's going to be three distinct groups. So there's going to be the technocrats, people who accept all technology, and they just go with everything. And then there's going to be the counter to that, the people that resist technology and they're like opposed to them. And then there's going to be people who just go and live in the woods. I don't know what that book is, but I do see that coming. I mean, if we're all in 15-minute cities, like you could have a 15-minute city that didn't, that they say, right, okay, you don't want digital ID, get yourself in that 15-minute city. Lisu is saying, morning, guys. So is April Lee and Kaz and Tina, Coral Reefing. Kaz is saying, I don't agree with the digital ID. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, like, how are you going to, I mean, we have literal biblical context here. I think it's Revelation 13. They're saying, those who take the mark of the beast can't buy or sell anything or travel. So if you don't want to buy anything, if you don't want to sell anything, and you don't want to travel anywhere, then, you may be able to get away from the digital ID. But there's just something fundamental about it, isn't there? There's just, remember how they said, we're only bringing cameras in on on hotspots. We're only putting CCTV cameras on hotspots. And now I think you'd struggle to find a place where you're not on a camera. Daniel Payne is saying, check in, check out. I don't know what that means. CT Outdoors is saying it's an excuse to implement technical enslavement. Yeah. Daniel Payne is saying, look at Heathrow yesterday being hacked. Yeah, so that's another thing, these digital IDs. Can you imagine if you're hacked and you're turned off? Literally, if you're a digital, with the digital ID, you could turn people off. If there's somebody that they don't like, they could just turn them off. Do you know what? Raven, yeah, we don't like him. Turn him off. He'll turn up he'll turn up at some point. We'll be able to pull him in. Reminds me of that movie. What is it? Minority Report. So there's a movie, Minority Report, and you can't he has to have new eyes. And everywhere you go, everywhere, can you imagine walking down it seems pretty cool, but it's always what's lying on the undertone. So it'd be so cool walking down the high street and the billboards either side of you are saying, hey, Sean, come in here. Look at this, Sean. Look at this, and I'd be like, oh, yeah, do you know what? That is pretty cool. But then somebody's saying, Sean, your travel credits are up this week. If you want to travel further, you need to buy more travel credits. They'll call it CO2 credits or something. So all right, okay. Right, all right. So I've traveled my 15 miles today. I've got to go back. Yeah, and then obviously Daniel Payne just said, who says you can't hack my ID? Yeah, anything that's computers, guys, it 100% can be hacked. I don't care. And I would say these digital IDs have got a backdoor for hacking anyway. And what do we actually mean by hacking? At government level, that wouldn't be classed as a hack. That would just be classed as turning Daniel Payne off. You don't actually have to have hackers here. You could have the government officials turning people off. Right, Daniel Payne has walked more than 15 miles this week. Stop him. Daniel Payne, Jody Lee saying morning. Good morning, Jody Lee. Daniel Payne is also saying if we can't secure our borders, secure our network defense, how will they protect my ID? I don't think it's ever meant to be like that. I just think it's a way to get people to capitulate. If the door is unlocked or open, it's not treated as a criminal offense to walk into someone's home. I genuinely didn't know this, guys. Honestly, I thought in all that is holy, I was under the illusion that if somebody walked into my house, that was burglary. That's what I thought. Honestly, like that's my understanding of and like I think most people think that, right? Am I right or am I wrong? Until last month, I think it was in London, where the migrant walked into the lady's house and she got arrested for chasing him out. I genuinely didn't realize that it wasn't a crime to walk in someone's house. And as Kaz is saying there, if the door is unlocked, it's not treated as a criminal offense. I mean, like, what is... It's unbelievable, guys, you know. And then, you know, just put this together with what we was talking about last night. Islamic State are calling for attacks on Christians and Jews in the United Kingdom. You know, and I talked about this on the live stream last night. They're saying go into people's houses, you know, and do really bad things to them. Now we know there's no crime being committed. So you can imagine, right? Imagine this, right? Imagine this, all right? You're sat there, minding your own business, you know, you're watching, I don't know, you're watching Deal or No Deal. I don't even know. I don't watch news. I don't watch the TV. You're watching Deal or you're watching Deal or No Deal. And some migrants walk in. And you're like, oh, so you phone the police. And you're like, hello. Yeah, I've got some people, some people who I believe are Africans have just walked into my house. I don't know what they want because I can't understand what they're saying. And the police are like, has anybody been stabbed or raped? And you're like, no, not yet. And like, oh, well, it's a civil offence. You'll have to get a lawyer involved and chase them through the court. Oh, okay. So I asked them, do they want a cup of tea? You know, where do we go with this? You know, and yesterday, again, I was talking about this on the live stream last night. Just girls, look, single girls. I'm going to do a video. I'm going to do a standalone video about this later. Single girls, women, when you're getting your Deliveroo and your pizza and your kebab or whatever takeaway food you're getting delivered to your house, who's delivering it, and do you trust them? Put all this together, ladies and gentlemen. You know, put all this together right now. And the reason we're talking about this again, I saw a video this morning of an alleged migrant in Liverpool. Guys, put it in the comments if you've seen this video. It's a Ring doorbell video, and there is an alleged migrant, and he walks. He's following a girl, and he walks onto her drive. He gets caught, and he enters the house. My next question is, how many of these incidents have happened that have just not been caught? They've just not been caught on Ring doorbells. It's unbelievable. Right, let me jump up. Right, there's quite a lot of comments, ladies and gentlemen. Right, I will jump onto the YouTube in a second. I can see the chat going, but there are so many questions, so many comments here on. UK Veterans is saying TikTok was sold. Is there not another sister? Is there not another sister platform now from TikTok? I think it's called is it called Golden Olive or something? Or Lime? I don't know. I think there's a sister platform now for TikTok that the owners of TikTok have made. Kaz is saying, Lord help anyone who walks into my home. Kaz, don't say anything incriminating. Martin Quinn is saying, Alaikum salam. Everybody can't get just this new English language. Martin Quinn is saying, good morning, everyone, in true English. So in Arabic, good morning would be sabah al khair. And then the response would be sabah al noon. Mike Quinn is saying, when you phone up about a crime and you've got it on video, it's up to the officers to decide if it's due to the video showing that the man was an immigrant. Linda Lou is saying, morning, Sean, and morning, all. Kaz is saying, we are allowed to use reason. I don't know. Look, guys, I'm not even going to get into this conversation about using reasonable force. I think if someone walked into your house and you tried to get them out, the way that when you take into subversion, you take into account subversion, when you take into account who's running the legal systems in the UK, it would, to me, seem that if you did, I mean, what are you supposed to do? Like, if somebody walks into your house, what are you supposed to do? Just to, oh, hello, here's my house deeds, bye. That seems like the legal thing to do. That rain last night was diabolical. It was diabolical, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, I've been putting off a roof repair now for like well over a year. I've been putting off a roof repair because it's on the other side and the wind never blows that way and it's so small. It's like it's going to be a faff. It's going to take longer for me to get all the tools up there on the roof than it is to actually do the roof repair. So I've been putting it off. Caught me with the pants down last night, guys, because the wind was blowing the opposite direction. So I am going to have to go up and do that tonight. You just reminded me, says Coral Reefing. I heard thunder in the early hours of last night, unless I was dreaming. Well, you might have been dreaming, or it might have been some Russian airstrikes. I don't know. Martin Quinn is saying, well, I'll all move into your garden, Sean, and we'll make a community ID. I think it would be like a password or something. Martin Quinn is saying a lot of the old movies had something similar with digital ID. Wasn't that on Logan's Run? Is that the right movie? Is Logan's Run the movie where they all have like the gem in their hand, and when they get to like 30 or something, they have to walk up the stairs and then they get like unalived? I think that was Logan's Run. Yeah, and then Martin Quinn's just saying the same here. You know, it does feel like if you defend your house, you know, you're going to be the one arrested. April Lee is saying she always locks her doors. I didn't realize this, guys. I really didn't realize that anyone could walk into your house and it was a civil matter. And because it's a civil matter, you then have to apply through the courts. So you're like, all right, 2 people have walked into my house, sat down on my chair, and I now need to apply to a civil court to remove them. How do you know where they live? How do you know what their names are? How do you do that? You see, we're coming up to a lot of problems now that we just never thought we would. Lulz Whale is saying hi. Angela Dawson is saying morning all. Tracy McGregor is saying morning all. Hang on, sorry. Louise Webb is saying, Sean, do you know what form of digital ID will be? Will it be linked to our phones? I would suspect yes. Now, they did this in Ukraine in 2022. It got rushed through in Ukraine. So now in Ukraine, everybody has all their credentials on their phone. So if you get stopped, you've got your driver's license, you've got your passport, you've got everything on your phone. Now, that's how I believe it will start. But, I think it's going to move to a stage where we just get a microchip in our hands and then we can scan our hands. But that's just what I believe, Louise Webb. I've got no idea of how it will be brought out. I can't see any other way how they can bring the digital ID out. Martin is saying, well, I'm just going to pin this. I'm not going to repeat it because there are some words that may not be acceptable in that. Tracy McGregor is saying, did you say scan our hands? I think that's where it's going. Is it in Sweden? I think Sweden, they've already got they already did it. I think I want to say 2017 or something. In Sweden, people started to have a microchip. I'm pretty sure it's Sweden in 20. Well, so yeah, I think it was Sweden 2017. The Swedish have had a microchip put in their right hand so they can get through doors, pay for stuff, and do all that sort of stuff. So that is 100% happening in Sweden already. April Lee saying, I'm not putting anything in my hand. Well, it might not be. I think he'll start with phones, but then it will just make it easier to do, to put things in your hands. And April Lee saying 2017. Was that the date? Was that the date? Right, guys, just real quick. I'm going to do a quick search because Article 5 is trending on. It was trending on X. Oh, right. Not anymore. Oh, okay. Right. I'm just going to leave that then. Article 5 was trending on X a minute ago. It popped up. And now Elon Musk's trending. What's he said now? I don't know. Nothing. Right. Give me a second, guys. I've literally just been talking. I did have some things brought up. So I'm just going to jump over to YouTube. So hang on. So Donna Hogan is saying Russia's grey zone invasion plan to start World War III before Christmas. Yeah, I saw this yesterday. There was an article by a Russian defector, which would fit into what we was talking about. So a Russian defector from Russia, who's claiming that he's seen the Russian war plans or something. In fact, let me get this up on the computer. Yeah, so this is an article from the Daily Express. Or is it just the Express, actually. Russia's grey zone invasion plan to start World War III before Christmas, revealed by defector. Exclusive. The warning from a top Russian general has triggered urgent discussions in the UK and US about the risk of a deniable strike aimed at fracturing NATO. So here we talk about this, this grey warfare, asymmetric warfare, non-conventional warfare, sabotage. This is the real threat. Like if you're in a NATO country right now, I don't see the significance of Russian strikes in NATO countries. It makes no sense. The real threat, I believe, especially in the United Kingdom, is from sabotage. Louise Webb is saying, I'm not having anything put in my body by the government. Martin Quinn is saying, does that mean when people descend into beams of light, they'll take their chip out of their hand and sell it for scammers? Oh, I follow me. Yeah, I didn't think of that. I guess if somebody dies, you know, I don't know, actually. I mean, do you know what, Martin? Let me just go with this. Let's just go with this a second. So, hang on. Hang on, I think I've glitched on TikTok. I think I'm tick glitching. Yeah, I think I'm tick glitching. I've TikTok glitched. I'll just give you this one because Martin Quinn on TikTok's just said, does that mean when people die, they'll be able to take their chip out of their hand and sell it for scammers? Well, here's another thing, right? You could capture like you could get someone who's really influential, pull the chip out of their hand, insert it into your hand, and then you could just masquerade as them. So like we're in this like, you know, we're headed, it's like this absolute like terrifying dystopian landscape that we're heading towards. Now, I obviously think that would be unlikely, but another thing with the chips in the hands, if you can program the chips, then you can clone somebody really easy. I've only just thought of that in real time, I guess. Destiny Final Shape is saying Russia are all talk. I mean, they're not all talk. They invaded Ukraine in 2014 and they invaded Ukraine in 2022 again. You know, it's hard to say that Russia is all talk, but I think they talk a better game than they can produce. But ultimately, it doesn't matter because the way they've set themselves up, they have set themselves up to fight a war with conscripts, not with not with technology, not with the military might that the West has. They have really set themselves up to fight a war with conscripts rather than their, what's the word I'm looking for? Rather than their military prowess. And if you want to look at a precedence for this, you've got to think of the back in the American Civil War when Britain had all the military with all the tactics where they were forming line and forming square, and the Americans were out in the peripherals picking people off. They were using guerrilla warfare. So that is what I would say would be a likely thing that the Russians would do. Mr. Mark is saying, walking about with someone else's hand in my pocket. Templar Matt is saying, they'll start chipping babies from birth soon. Yeah, and that's like that, what's it called? What's that series? The first series was really good. They do the thing in the back of the neck. Altered carbon. That's like altered carbon, where when you're born, you're chipped straight away, and that's you. I mean, why not? Literally, that is what's coming. I do think as well. I think you're right. And again, how can it be? How can you argue it? You can say, and I guess the argument to putting chips in babies would be, we are going to chip your baby in front of you as soon as that's happened, and then there's no way you can that child will ever be separated from you. And people will go, oh yeah, that's a great idea, and I would say before that happens, I mean, we're talking years down the line now, but before that happens, like a year, 2 years before they implement that, what they will do is out in the media, they'll start saying, oh, baby's mixed up at birth. Our child was lost at birth. This got lost at birth. This happened at birth. And they'll bring all that information to the forefront. And then people will just be begging for it. People will be, oh, yeah, we need to chip our children as soon as they're born. Coastal and countryside drones is saying altered carbon is great. It is. Altered carbon's absolutely fantastic. The first series was awesome. First series was awesome. It just went like, what's his name? That guy who plays RoboCop? I don't know. I think he's Swedish. He was a fantastic Takeshi Kovacs. He just went downhill after the second series. Hang on. Do you think people would be attacked for their chips? I think it's like, if we're reliant on these chips in people's hands, I think there's a high likelihood of that happening. James Brooke is saying, saw info last night that Russians have 700,000 soldiers in Ukraine. If true, Ukraine can't get half that number. Ukraine is, look, guys, Ukraine is in trouble. There's a lot of trouble in Ukraine. The Ukrainians don't have the capacity to, the Ukrainians do not have the capacity to hold them off. What's been holding the Russians off, and it's only slowing them down, is the use of these small drones, these small quadcopter drones. But the Russians are pushing forwards. Best case scenario, all those little quadcopter, how we all see these images of, like a small drone taking out a multi-million-dollar tank or something. That happens very rarely. Most, like a lot of these quadcopter drones, they don't work. I would say, I don't know, maybe 2 out of 5 just crash. And of those 3 that finally make it through, they don't all hit, but they are a deterrent. And that is the only thing really that's slowing the Russians down. If you guys have been watching been going on the, I think it's called the Deep State map, literally every day the Russians are pushing forwards, every single day, guys, and there isn't much stopping them. Emma Riley is saying, you're gone for TikTok. Yeah, I know, the TikTok just froze on me. It's when we started talking about digital IDs and putting chips in people's bodies, it just froze. So yeah, it is froze, but don't worry, ladies and gentlemen. That's why we are triple streaming, although we're just double streaming at the moment. So if you've not done so already, guys, can you please like, comment, subscribe, share my stuff? That really helps me out, guys, as well, when you share my stuff. Like, the algorithm loves it when you share my stuff. So please help me out with that, guys. It's really important that we get this out to as many people as possible, because still people are in absolute denial about what's coming. They really are. Lisa Jane is saying, has Sean been banned? No, I've not been banned. It just, the TikTok just froze. So hang on. So my TikTok page just froze. I don't know what it was. If you guys can remember, a couple of days ago, there was an update when you log on to the TikTok, the software, that's the streaming software for TikTok. It will update automatically, so the new updates go automatically. I don't think I've been banned. I've not had a notification saying I'm banned. Just the screens are frozen, and normally when I get banned, I will get a notification saying you've been banned for X, Y, and Z. But I've not been banned. It's just froze. I think it's a problem with the streaming software. It's still open and it still looks like I'm streaming, but the clock stopped. Oh, thank you, April Lee, for the super sticker. Thank you so much for the super sticker, April Lee. April Lee saying, I thought you was banned. No, I wasn't banned. It just cut off. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna give you a quick synopsis again what we've been talking about, because I've just noticed quite a few people have just joined. I don't know if you're joining from TikTok, I don't know where you're joining from, but welcome. We are talking today about digital ID, the implementation of digital ID that does look like it's coming very soon. I don't know how people are going to be able to resist this. I think if this is doubled up with universal basic income, it's going to be very difficult for people to resist. People financially are broken. Lots of jobs are going to artificial intelligence. You know what, guys? Like, if you've got a job right now, if you've got a job as an office worker, if you work in an office, if you work on a computer screen, any clerical work, your job will be gone, will go to AI, 100%. We looked online, and there's a company called Capita, and they employ 50,000 people. Now, if Capita gives their jobs to AI, that means that there's going to be 50,000 people unemployed and 50,000 less jobs. So you see now, I've been saying this for a while, over a year. We're coming to a situation where we've got more people. So the unemployment pool is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and the jobs pool is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Now, this is happening from multiple directions. First of all, you've got the implementation of artificial intelligence, which is just changing everything. So if you work in art, in media, AI is taking your job. If you work in clerical, AI is taking your job. If you work in transport or logistics, AI is taking your job. Like, AI is taking a lot of jobs, guys. It really is. And those jobs are not coming back. It's not like AI is taking a job and another job's opening. No, AI is taking that job and that's closed now. That's not happening. So we are having more people now competing for less jobs. Moving forwards, that's going to lead to an absolute decimation of people's wages, people's living quality, because people won't have money to spend. And when people don't have money to spend, they can't go to the pub. They can't eat out in a restaurant. So those businesses are going to be closing as well. And a lot of those pubs and restaurants and private entities, they're run by mum and pops businesses. So, they're not the big multinationals. They are the smaller businesses that these taxes, they're really hitting home hard. These taxes are really hitting home hard. So now they're going bust. So that's driving more people into unemployment. And when Keir Starmer says, okay, right, everybody that downloads the digital ID, you get £1,600 to spend a month free. We're going to give you that. That's on us. It's going to be very tempting. It's going to be really, really tempting. And I would speculate most people will do that for the financial gain. And let's not pretend that money's real, because money isn't real, guys. All right. Money's not real. It's fake news. It's just numbers on a screen. It doesn't matter. Like, the government can print more money to get that system moving. Yes, the price of bread might go up to, like, I don't know, 10 quid a loaf or something. It's not going to matter, because they want to get that those dynamics moving. Like, see if I've got some money. I don't know if I've got any money on me. No, I've not. I've got what have I got? I've got foreign money. I haven't got any British money on me. Like I said, I don't really get cash. So on like a pound, or like on like a £5 or a £10 note or something, it says, I promise that, like on a £10 note or something, it says, I promise to provide the Redeemer. Oh, my whole internet's frozen. Has that page frozen? Yeah, my whole internet's frozen, guys. My whole internet's frozen. I've got 3 different systems here, so don't worry. I'm still live streaming on you. What it says on a £10 note or whatever, it says, I promise to redeem the bearer of this note, goods and services up to the value. Now, that's all it says. All money is a promise for goods and services. So it doesn't really matter how much stuff costs. Yeah, endeavour to preserve it. Yeah, absolutely right. The more we have international investment in the UK, the more AI is going to take our jobs, the more people are going to go bust, and the more this cycle will continue. Martin Quinn is saying, with digital ID, imagine if you're disabled and you're not going to work, they'll turn around, set just one day. Oh, we'll stop your money. You can't do one day, so why can you do more days? The implications of digital ID are huge, guys. They're absolutely huge. Like when digital cameras came out. I mean, I'm old enough to remember when like you had a camera and you had to wind it up. You like, if you was going on holiday, you'd go and get those. You could get like I think 3 disposable cameras for $5 or something from I don't know, like Jessup's or whatever. And you'd get 3 disposable cameras and you'd wind it up and you'd take a picture. I can remember those days. when we used to go away with the army back in like the late 90s, like you would take some digital cameras and you would never know what your mates had taken pictures of. That's all I'm saying. So when you went to get them developed, you had some uncomfortable, some very peculiar pictures get developed. Anyway, so I can remember the days when you used to have to do that with the camera. And when digital cameras first came in, people didn't really, they were like, oh, right. I mean, yeah, it's a camera, but it's digital. And I don't really know what the difference is. Now look at how digital cameras have absolutely changed the world. That ability to take a picture and then put that picture with like not even one click, just take a picture and it goes straight onto the internet. Look at me now. I'm streaming in digital. This is all the digitalization. So when we're talking about digitalization and digital IDs, I don't think the real implications of this have been realized yet. Sandra is saying, at some point, ID will be on the hand or forehead. I struggle to see how it would be on the forehead. This is done using nanoscale, so skin absorbs it. I wouldn't know what that. I wouldn't know what that is. Also, we'll be talking about this. I saw a video last night of, I don't know when the video was, but I saw a video last night, and it was basically, and it builds onto what I was talking about yesterday as well. So I saw a video yesterday of an alleged migrant man. He's following a girl home. Guys, if you've seen this video, can you let me know you've seen it? There's an alleged man. He's alleged he's a migrant, and he follows a girl home, and he walks into her house. Now, this was caught on a Ring doorbell. And it just, as soon as I saw that, I was thinking about what we were talking about last night, where people are saying, follow the praying to their houses and do this and do that. I'm thinking, this is really happening now. And the law in the United Kingdom actually facilitates that. So now we know that, so if a bad guy wants to come into your house and do bad things, he's got a legal framework to work with. See, we don't have a legal framework to defend ourselves, but if there's a bad guy and he wants to come into your house and do bad things, he's got a legal framework to come into your house. He just says he didn't know. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize in this country you're not allowed to walk in people's houses. Because it's not a criminal offense. And I'm genuinely astounded by this, guys. I really am. I am absolutely astounded that it's not a criminal offense to walk into someone's house. It's a civil offence, and then you have to take them to a civil court. Tina Lancashire is saying, Sean, is that I didn't hear any sound on it. Do you know what? Let me try and find it. I'll try and find it now, and I'll share it with you. I'll give it 2 seconds to try and find it, and then I'll share it with you. Give me a sec. Ah, there it is. Right. Right, hang on, guys. I'm just going to share this with you real quick. How do I share? It's only 30 seconds long. So this is the video. Sorry, there's another video that shows the girl come back. All right. No. Yeah, so like this is happening, this is happening, and that's not a crime. That is not a crime, guys. I don't know, like what would have happened there? What would have happened there if what would have happened there, guys, if Dad hadn't been stood there? Dad's at work paying taxes so the migrants can get their 3 meals a day. Honestly, guys, I'm starting to get triggered. What would have happened? Because we go out to work, and sometimes it's like, yeah, have you got your key? Because you're gonna have to come home from, have you got your key? Because you're gonna have to open the door yourself when you get back, because I'm not gonna be in. So the girl, you come back, open the door, like what would have happened in that scenario if the dad hadn't have been in? Would he have just gone in? Would he have just gone in? And would that, what there, right there and then, how bad could that have gone, guys? Like, just think about it now. We're all saying, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's wrong. How bad could that have gone? And we've only just seen that one on the Ring doorbell. How many more, how many people don't have a Ring doorbell? How many people don't have that recording facility? How many people have had people just walk into their houses? But don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, because if he comes in the house, it's not a crime. You're the one in the wrong. Because remember, the rights of migrants trump the rights of the people that live there. So his rights are greater than the rights of the people in that house. Ollie is saying, I think you were right, Sean. He's saying we're heading towards gated communities. No, we are heading towards gated communities. Are here. They've just not got the gates on them yet. Look, guys, do me a favor. The next time you're out and about and you're driving around and you drive past, one of these new development, one of the new developments, the like a new housing development. The next time you drive past the housing development, look at how many roads in and out they have, and I can guarantee you they'll have one. One point of entry, one point of exit, one road. That's all they have. That is because they're building these to be gated communities. You just put one gate over that, and there's one entrance, and that's it. You deal with it there. When I grew up on our estate, there was like, God knows, like, I don't know, 20, 30, there's lots of different entrances, so we are heading towards gated communities, and gated communities are already here. Martin Quinny's saying it's only a criminal offence if they take something from your house, but they can sit there and stare at you. All you can do is make them a cup of tea. Yeah, maybe make them do a sandwich. Tina is saying my dad, ex-military copper. I'm 52 now, and the belief is you feel threatened within your rights to defend with reasonable force. Look, okay, guys, I don't want to get down the legal. I don't want to get down here on a legal. I'm not qualified to give anyone legal advice. Gareth is saying you've got to remember where these people are coming from. Surely they're fleeing the war in France. Donna is saying this is why I'm happy I live in a cul-de-sac. Donna, did you hear my analogy of living in a cul-de-sac? Tracy McGregor is saying, no way can people just walk into your home without being matched back or thrown out. My husband would hit a gasket. Tracy McGregor, no, the law in the UK is that it's not a criminal offence to walk into your house. I'm not making it up, Tracy. The law in the UK is that it's not a criminal offence for somebody just to walk into your house. And then, Ian's saying trespass is a civil matter. So if somebody comes into your house, it's not a criminal matter. You have to, you would have to, try and prosecute them through the civil courts. Right, ladies and gentlemen, listen, guys, I'm going to close this down now. The TikTok just gave up, so TikTok's gone. I will be back on later today at 8. The crux of this live stream: crisis in the United Kingdom, digital ID, migrants are now like I think that this walking into houses. You heard it here first. I believe this is going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. I promise you guys. When Nigel Farage said we're going to have a mass exodus of boats coming over, migrants walking into houses is going to be a thing. Do you know why it's going to be a thing? Because they can get away with it. You're not committing a crime. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you walk into somebody? Like, why wouldn't you? What's going to happen to them? It's not a crime. It's coming, guys. It's coming. And at some point, it's just going to get to a stage where I don't even know where this goes, guys. I genuinely don't know where this goes. I mean, yes, of course, I would speculate that at some point there would be a crime committed, a really bad crime, but they won't change the law. It's a one-off incident. He had mental health issues. That's where we are going, guys. All right. So I just everybody, guys. All right. Lock your doors. Katrina is saying, it's a lovely little boy. Katrina is saying, walk into mine and my dogs will have fun. Yeah. But then, do you know what? You will be prosecuted then. That will be you getting prosecuted. And not everybody's got dogs, Tina. Not everybody has dogs. And normally if somebody's coming up and they hear the dogs barking, they're going to go next door. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close this down now. Listen, guys, do me a real big favor, can you? lock your doors and make sure you tell all your friends and family to lock their doors. That's all I can say, guys. You know, lock your doors, because this is going to get bigger. This is going to go bigger. Mark my words, guys. Mark my words. Anyway, guys, I'm going to get off now. I'll be back on at 8, and I'll see you later.